We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, even a third grade education will tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4.
But do you support reparations?
Well, since I haven't spoken on this, I've got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is that not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest. Which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money. Teach them how to call. This is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. Good evening in the mountain. Good evening in the central. Good evening on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the Reparationist Perspective, bringing you those ADOTs, hot topics, and making the case for reparations, making the case for weaponizing our vote, socializing our suffering. And this evening, family, we're going to talk about Gavin Newsome signing over Bruce's Beach back to its descendants. Follow in. I'm so grateful to have you here on the line with me this evening. It's going to be rich. Hopefully you'll learn a couple of things more in depth about what happened to the Bruces when their beach was literally taken from them by eminent domain. And it kind of goes against this white racist trope, right? That we are lazy and shiftless and no good and no count and don't want more for ourselves. because properties were taken all over the country by eminent domain, you understand, and so much more. But tonight we're going to focus on what happened to the Bruces and also talk about another gentleman who's on deck for his descendants to receive their property back. Okay, so follow in. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. Thank you so much for being here, one and all. So let me fly my banner. I hope you like that intro. That is compliments of Umoya G from EMN, the Mass Media, ETM, the Mass Media Group. He did an amazing job, and this is what your contributions help. It helps to make the show great. It helps to attract more people. So that intro is sheer fire. I want to thank you, Moya, again for the beautiful work on the intro and the outro. On Monday, right? I did something and the whole screen went black, so you didn't get a chance to see the outro. But this evening, I'm hopeful that you will get an opportunity to stick around to see the outro. It is as much fire as the intro, right? So I'm very, very grateful. This is what your contributions to the channel via the Cash App and PayPal. Thank you, one and all. This is what it affords me, a chance to perfect the show and make it more highly stylized to attract more people to the movement for reparations. So the reason why I wanted to talk about Bruce's Beach is because I hear from many people that reparations is never going to happen. And it really drives me crazy to hear that, because if our ancestors felt that way about our emancipation, we'd still be in chains, right? We'd still be enslaved. We'd still be picking cotton. We wouldn't have the luxuries that we are afforded, many of us, but far too many is why I fight. Far too many don't have the luxury of being able to even watch me live. They don't have these luxuries of laptops and, social media and what is it called? The internet. They don't have this in their homes. This is why I fight. This is why I show up faithfully, because it is absolutely not true that we are shiftless, lazy, no good, and no count, like far too many I hear from our Black immigrants. It's really, really upsetting. Like, it upsets me to my core when I hear Black immigrants in particular. I expect it of the white immigrants. But when I hear Black immigrants repeating some of the same racist tropes that we're shiftless, lazy, no good, and no count, and don't want to work, that's problematic for me. Because I overstand, as do many Black American descendants of U.S. chattel slavery, that if it wasn't for what our ancestors did to build the wealth that all these groups eat from with their lives, they wouldn't even be over here. So I share Bruce's Beach because it is a victory. It's a victory for the Bruces, but this is showing people that reparations can happen when you lean in. It took a century to get that done. It took our ancestors 400 years. Now, I'm not sitting up here saying it's going to take that long for our repair to come on a federal level, but Bruce's Beach is just one example of how leaning in and knowing your politics can help you get your people the relief they are long overdue. There is no reason in the world that U.S. Black American descendants of U.S. chattel slavery should be the anchor of this country's capitalism. And that's by design of institutional systemic racism. And it's happening in every facet. We are on the bottom in every facet. So when I see Bruce's Beach, which is now worth $75 million, the land alone, okay? Now imagine if hi Terry, thank you for joining the live. Imagine if they start to accrue for the past century all the money that is owed to the beach, Bruces, for the beach that they stole by eminent domain. Let's get into it. Imagine that family being the benefactor. We're talking the land alone. We're talking the homes on and around Bruce's Beach are median around $3 million or more. That is what has just been restored to the Bruces. Now, let me tell you, it's been a hard 100 years on the Bruce family. It's been diabolical what has happened to them as a result of their wealth being stolen. But the beauty of that dreadful example is that that is what's happening to us as the descendants of the slaves who built all the wealth that all the other groups eat from but us. All of our wealth was stolen. We were killed and it was stolen. And so that's why our median national income is on the bottom at $30,000. The median national home price is close to $400,000. Okay. And that is our albatross. So immigration is not the albatross of white folks who killed our ancestors, stole all of what they built, akin to the Bruce's Beach, the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, all our Black Wall Streets, which was about 50 or 60 in total throughout the country, that were decimated. So immigration is not the albatross of white folks, especially those that can just mark on the census that they're white, right? Like the Latinas. Quite a few of them identify as white. They take on white partners and to try to keep the white race in power and strong in numbers. See, they're not going to make us white. All right. So just know that that is, you guys know, because you're very conscientious, and that's why you show up to hear my segments, and I'm grateful to you and for you. So do know and understand that what is happening to us, you in particular, audience that is watching, it is not our fault. I want you to understand that. I don't want you to beat yourself up about your challenges with getting work, as immigration has been weaponized against us to keep us bottom cast in the country our ancestors built with their lives. We have no friends. And there's a lot of black white supremacists doing us in as well. Please press the like button, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. I am being shadow banned. So the reason why you see the numbers so low is because not everybody's getting their notifications. And I've been getting hit up about that. So I'm going to come up with a solution where I can, text you to let you know when I'm going live so that you can tune in if you're free to do so. But in the meantime, I need your help growing the platform and growing the fight for reparations, okay? So with that being said, let's jump right in, all right? Let me see here. Which article do I want to bring you first? Yeah, I'll get to that one next. Okay, so the historic beachfront property was returned to the Black family 100 years after it was seized. The beach will be Black owned once again. This is awesome news, and this is a step in the right direction. So this was taken from the Bruce family here in California. It's going to be returned because Gavin Newsome finally signed a bill that will allow the return of ownership of Manhattan Beach property to the descendants of Willa and Charles Bruce, and apologized for how the land was seized by the state. Let me stop. Manhattan Beach will not apologize, right? Governor Newsome just finally apologized. He's not been governor for 100 years, but he did issue an apology at the signing of that bill. But can you imagine? Not only do you take the property by eminent domain, I hear two figures. I think the 2,000 is the true figure as to what happened, right? They allegedly gave the Bruces $2,000 when they took their property by eminent domain. Some things were renegotiated and $14,000 was supposed to be paid for them, but they never got the $14,000. And so they literally were driven out of California. So let me continue. I want people to understand that California is not the sunshine and blue skies that is depicted in the Hollywood films. Not for ADOCs. It is for Hispanics. It is for white people, Asians, Africans, okay, Caribbeans, okay. They are living La Viva Loca down here, but we are on the bottom, as I've reported on many of my archives, about the tremendous gap. I think I share with you the Nigerians are 60,000 liquid to ADOC's 200 liquid to Kamala's people, Asian Indian, $450,000 liquid. Maybe that's their income, their median income. That was from a 2004 to 2014 Color of Wealth LA report. Okay. So My numbers may be off. Those archives are there if you want to check that out. But the bottom line is, California was and is as racist as the South. We got the KKK here, okay, in Orange County. So these are things that people don't expect of California. They look at this like my middle name, Nirvana. They look at this like that when you come to California, you just got it made. No, it's very, very expensive to live here. I got to check. I think we were once 65% of the population here. We're now down to less than 5% because of this type of stuff. We've been legislated out. We've been policied out. They can just literally come up with things, make it up, and take from us. And that's what they've done, not just in the South, but all over the country. And let me continue as you find out what really happened. It's deplorable. And the KKK were involved. The KKK that our very government won't label a domestic terrorist group, while people like me get shadow banned and kicked off of Facebook and censored on ScrewTube, and all these kinds of things are happening to me because people like me, those of us that are fighting, are labeled Black identity extremists. But the KKK was involved in driving the Bruces and the Blacks off that beach. They were just as instrumental as our government. Many of the KKK still sit on our government to this day. Those on both sides of the aisle. Biden did the eulogy for Strom Thurmond. And I know that many of our electorate went out to vote because, of course, the media was complicit in making Trump more of a racist than Biden. And so, folks, our people voted to unseat Trump, and we didn't demand tangibles in exchange. Speaking of which, I know I've been teaching vote red top, blue bottom. I'm saying vote anybody top of that ticket. Because anybody top of that ticket sends a stronger message to the Democrats that you won't be at the top of this ticket until you deliver. We've got to weaponize the vote because we've been neutralized economically, right? So we must weaponize the vote. The way to do that is to vote dim down ballot. That doesn't mean including the top. Anyone. Now, it has to be someone legitimately running. We don't want our ballots thrown out. And they make up all kind of rules to make sure our ballots don't count. So pick from the green, the libertarian, even the red. Pick. I'm no longer pushing that you have to vote for red. Okay? Anybody at the top of that ticket and a blue Congress to protect the over 50% of Black American descendants of U.S. chattel slavery who relied on government assistance by design of institutional systemic racism. Because the vote is all we've got left. And that's already being compromised by Biden giving away our reparations to the immigrant groups while telling us they don't have enough money to repair us in the trillions over multi-generations, and giving us a Juneteenth holiday that we were already celebrating. And now we got a hip hop holiday. All the other groups are eating well and have protections that are long overdue for ADOCs. Okay. So we have to weaponize the only thing we've got, which is our vote. Back to the text. Newsome signed the measure with about a half dozen of the couple's descendants present. Quote, there are other families waiting for this very day to have their land returned to them, Patricia Bruce, a cousin of Willa and Charles Bruce, told the Associated Press. The couple bought the land in Manhattan Beach in 1912 and ran a lodge, cafe, and dance hall that provided local Black families a way to enjoy their weekends on the coast during a time of strict racial segregation. The area was referred to by locals as Bruce's Beach, and other Black families were drawn to move there as well. However, the property was seized in the 1920s by the Manhattan Beach City Council through eminent domain, which is the right of a government to expropriate private property for public use. Now, the council supposedly wanted to use the land for a public park, but it went unused until 1948. Do you see it took them 28 years, family, They seized the property in 1920, gave the Bruce family $2,000, renegotiated for $14,000, never gave it to them. And since they didn't have it, they were driven out of California. They took it for public use under eminent domain and did not build that public park for 28 years. That's 28 years of wealth, generational inheritable wealth that the Bruce's descendants were robbed of, family. It's deplorable. And they didn't just do this here. I'm going to share with you about another gentleman that they're fighting to get his property back to give to his descendants momentarily. But let me continue. The council supposedly wanted to use the land for a public park, but it went unused until 1948 when it was transferred to the state, according to The Guardian. Since the death of George Floyd, protesters of Manhattan Beach have been seeking justice for Bruce's Beach, even going as far as erecting a tombstone inscribed with Bruce's Beach to drive the message, the LA Times reported. Quote, Bruce's Beach was an injustice in our town's history, Gary McCauley, president of the Manhattan Beach Historical Society, told the LA Times last year. The facts are tragic enough, but in the nearly 100 years since then, the facts have often been corrupted in the retelling. Me speaking. This is what they're doing to all of our history, family. If you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. And these white folks are literally arguing to keep the true history out of the schools. Why do you think that is, family? Well, my made-up story is because they don't want record numbers in the streets demanding reparations for our people, akin to what happened when George Floyd was executed by the the donkey race soldier Chauvin. Because if these people knew the truth of how they became wealthy, how they share in 100 trillion, while 90% of us share in less than 700 billion, I am certain we'd have more allies in this fight and this would get done. And that's what they don't want. That's my made up story. That's what my third eye tells me. Okay. Moving on. So they co-opt and corrupt our history, water it down. They bring in new Black immigrants to replace ADOCs in every level of life. They make far more money than we do, at least $20,000 difference on the low end between our median income and that of immigrant Blacks. Let me put a disclaimer here. I love everyone. So please, let's not conflate me desegregating ADOCs with me somehow not having an appreciation for other cultures. That's not what this is. Okay? So don't go run and lie and talk about she's a xenophobe. No. I must disaggregate this data so that this government can see clearly how it has failed us, the descendants of the ancestors who built the wealth all of these groups eat from with their lives. So I get called all kinds of names and get told that I hate on other groups. Not true. Okay? So back to my point. When you're dealing with a government that is weaponizing immigration against us, because guess what? Capitalism needs a bottom caste. Poverty is profitable. I'm just saying me and my comrades have decided we're no longer going to be it. So we've got to speak up and out and be strong and push back in the new Black media, of which I'm proud to be a party of. That's why I show up. Because we've got to tell our stories. CNN ain't going to tell it. CBS, ABC, NBC, they're never going to tell the truth. They're going to whitewash all of it. So you must come to YouTube, I was about to call them ScrewTube, to get the truth. And everybody's welcome to get that truth served on them. But please, let's not hang a noose and put a muzzle on the very descendants whose ancestors built the wealth all groups eat from, because it's uncomfortable for you to hear, because you don't like hearing it. Because I'm going to tell it like a TI is, like I've always done. Okay, back to the text. Now, Manhattan Beach, listen to this, according to the Associated Press, has a black population of about 0.8%. 0.8%. With white people making up nearly all of the remaining majority. All over the country, family. This is what happened to our people. That's not even that 0.8%. I got to do the math. Hold on. I don't want to tell no lies. Let me get my calculator. I got to do something. Just real quick. Hold on. 100 minus 0.008. Damn near 100% of the people there are white. I just had to put it on the calculator because I'm like, is that accurate in my head? 99.992% of the people in Manhattan Beach, which was once Bruce's Beach, are white now that they took it by eminent domain, and it took them over 20 years to put a public park there. Anyway, back to the text. Anthony Bruce, a 38-year-old great-great-grandson of the Bruces, told The Guardian the return of the property, a reckoning that has been long overdue. Quote, for me and the generations after this would mean an inheritance and that internal security of knowing that I come from somewhere, that I come from a people. And this is what they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know it. Okay. Are y'all still with me? Come on in. Follow on in. Thank you, guys. BB Rodriguez, I see you, my love. Tanya Princess, Cosetta Osler. Oh, I love y'all, Black and Strong. I don't see y'all because I'm over here telling it like a TI is with my little articles. But I'm so grateful to see all of you in the chat. Thank you so much. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. If you feel so compelled, bless the show. This is how I keep going. All of this cost. So, family, it's on us to keep the reparationist perspective going. Thank you once again for being here. All right, so let's get on to the next article. I won't see you, but continue to chat amongst yourself, and I'll come over and play with you momentarily when this segment is done. Hold on one second. What's going on here? Got some other rich stuff to share with you if these ads will stop popping up. I just want to jump down and not repeat some of this stuff, okay? Just bear with. Okay. Amid rampant segregation, hate crimes, and threats. That's the KKK I was telling you about. The Bruces built the first West Coast resort for Black people, situated along what became one of Southern California's signature beaches, fronted by rows of multi-million-dollar homes. It included a lodge, cafe, dance hall, and dressing tents. Quote, the journey here was far from easy, said Kevon Ward, a Black resident who learned of the property's history and founded Justice for Bruce's Beach. Ward also co-founded Where Is My Land? That's the next story I'm going to share with you after I finish this one. An organization that aims to return land taken from Black Americans and to get restitution. The organization is looking at several other unspecified projects, including one in California, to see if its goals are possible. Now, the one I'm going to talk about is Cleveland. Janice Hahn. Now, let me tell you a little bit about her. This is the woman that started all this. At the time, she was the county supervisor who led a government push to transfer the land, said the heirs would almost certainly be millionaires now if the property had not been taken. Quote, the law was used to steal this property 100 years ago, and the law today will give it back, Hahn said. Now, let me tell you about Hahn. Now, I've shared this on another show about Bruce's Beach, but just to catch you up if you're new to the live, Hahn's father was close friends with Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Isn't that wild? Look at God. Look at God, family. I just need you to understand that because of their friendship, she was in a position, right, to help jumpstart this property being restored to the descendants, the Bruce descendants. It's incredible how God is moving and working through each of us to make this happen. That's why you can't give in, you can't give up, you can't give out. That's why you got to tune out when people say reparations will never happen. No one ever believed this would happen. But God aligned those two souls to make a bond of friendship that, what's the word I'm looking for? Infiltrated, I guess. It dropped into her soul and into her spirit. And when she became in charge as a county supervisor, she led the government push to transfer the land. She understood because Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a great friend of her dad's. She understood about the civil rights movement, of which her father was a part of. So we can't demonize all white folks. Child, even the abolitionists were white, the Quakers, the whole 9 yards. So we do have white allies, family, and we're growing in support. It can't always be seen, but the work we're doing behind the scenes would blow your hair completely back. I just got off a call with the head of the Department of Justice about the task force for California coming up the 12th and the 13th. Don't miss that. I'm going to talk about that on Monday, and I'll be streaming it live for 16 hours, 8 hours on the 12th, 8 hours on the 13th. And y'all know I'm coming with that fire in that comment section. And you need to feel free to. If you like to make a public comment about the task force, if you've been bearing witness to my streams and what has been going on, you're free to comment from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if someone could type in the chat my Gmail for if you want to speak, please write me at the repperspect@gmail.com. The rep, R-E-P, perspect, short for perspective, @gmail.com. But yes, it's going to be rich, and I'm going to be making comments, but there were some things that happened that were of concern at the last task force hearing. The chat was turned off. All kind of stuff was going on, which is why I stream it so my people can freely chat and share how they're feeling. And I was able to tell the head of the Department of Justice how we are those descendants from the ancestors who built all the wealth that him and all the other groups eat from. And I was able to share that when we're in that chat, we don't need muzzle. We don't need for you to decide what's offensive and what's not offensive, although they claim they turned off the chat due to technical reasons. It should have never been turned on. I don't know why you're going to task force where we're invited, but we can't chat amongst ourselves or chat about the events so that we can give a transcript to the task force to take our ideals in the chat into consideration for proposals. But anywho, I digress. That's the kind of work we're doing. It is putting us in places with the Biden administration even. I can't say a lot about what's going on. I've been sworn to secrecy, but we are moving and advocating hard, and we need you guys to not give in, up, or out. That's why I'm doing this show again, because I've done Bruce's speech, but this time it's after it's actually been signed over to them. So back to the text. Newsome said the Bruces could have become like other leading Southern California entrepreneurs like the Getty family that garnered fame for its oil wealth and art collection. The Bruces' property along the south shore of Santa Monica Bay encompasses 2 parcels. The county's lifeguard training headquarters building sits there now along a scenic beach walkway lined with luxury homes overlooking the beach. In Manhattan Beach, the population of 35,000 is more than 84% white and 0.8%. Okay, I guess I did the math wrong. So it's 84% white and 0.8% black. Okay, I did it very wrong. I put too many zeros when I was subtracting. According to the city website, this year, the city council formally condemned the efforts of the early 20th century predecessors to displace the Bruces and several other Black families. The county, meanwhile, has outlined steps needed to move forward with the transfer, including assessing the value of the parcels and trying to find a means to lessen the tax burden on their heirs. Yeah. How about no tax? Why should they be taxed for property that was stolen from them by eminent domain? Not lessen the tax burden. How about no tax? Patricia Bruce, 65, of Hawthorne, said the family has not yet decided what it will do with the property. Fearless, investigative journalism shapes a fairer world. At The Guardian, our independence allows us to choose the truth wherever it takes us. We shed light on corruption, expose injustice and incompetence, and boldly tell the stories of people in power that the world needs to hear. We've upheld our reputation for quality investigative reporting for 200 years, and it's been read by tens of millions of people. Our vital work is now funded by more than 1.5 million supporters in 180 countries. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That's about them, The Guardian. Okay, so I'm done with that one. Okay, so if you want to give a donation to The Guardian, I'm going to keep that open because, yeah, they do allow you to use this for free. Unlike some of the other articles that I get, like LA Times or the Washington Times, New York Times, all this kind of stuff, they always, block me from reading. So I'm going to leave that up so I can donate because I like that they told that story. Okay, this one here. June 7th, I want to show y'all this screen. Hold on one second. Let me open it in another. I'm going to open the article so you guys can see this beautiful visual of the Bruces. Okay, hold on. Let me copy the link so I can post it in another tab and then I can share it and read from the other one. Okay, guys? Welcome to the live. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and yeah, bless the show. Thank you. Let's see here. Thank you to all who have supported this platform. It's helped me to really take the show to the next level, and there's more to come. Thank you. Okay. What's up, Trey? I see you, fam. Okay, so hold on. Y'all, your sister here might be able to run her mouth, but she is not technologically savvy. Okay? I'm trying to make sure. Oh, Lord, where y'all at? Okay, there's a red dot. I got so many windows open, it's hard to keep up when I'm doing things over here. I beg your patience. This is not my wheelhouse. One day I'll have enough money to have producers over here, child. The ghetto. So let me share this while I read, okay? Let's see. I want to be small and I want to make them large. Okay, stand by. Let's share this photo. Okay, Justice Refuses Peach. I think it's that one. Let's share it. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Let me make sure you can see it while I'm talking about. Okay, look at that beautiful, refined Black couple. Are they not just beautiful and gorgeous in every way? Now, this is what it used to be for us, right? Us older dolls and guys know the richness, right? We understand the richness of our people and the beauty of our people. Okay. And so this is what we need to get back to. It is imperative that we restore the Black family, especially the ADOCs. We've got to restore husbands, wives, and that cohesive Black family unit. That's what's missing and why all of this debauchery is just taken over. So let me read. I'm not going to read that article to the right, but I'm going to read from here. In 1912, okay, we already did that part. Okay, The resort was not looked upon favorably. I'm jumping a little bit, okay, guys? The resort was not looked upon favorably by white people in Manhattan Beach, and the Bruce family was a frequent target of racist threats and harassment. The KKK reportedly set fire to a mattress under the main deck at Bruce's Beach and burned down a nearby home owned by a black family. Despite these threats, the Bruce family ran a thriving business until the city of Manhattan Beach, under the pretense of building a park, seized the land using eminent domain and evicted the family. Willa and Charles fought the takeover, but ultimately left Manhattan Beach with $14,500 in compensation. Okay, so they did leave with the $14,500. I thought they never got it. They moved to New Mexico to work as cooks for other people's businesses. Ooh, child, that just did something to me. Today, the land has a market value of more than $70 million. In 2021, something remarkable is happening. The land that was once Bruce's Beach is being returned to the heirs of Willa and Charles. Kayvon Ward, co-founder of Where Is My Land, launched a movement called Justice for Bruce's Beach that has made what once seemed impossible, the rightful return of the land from LA County to the Bruce family, a reality. Where Is My Land represents the continuation of the movement started at Bruce's Beach in 2020. Across the U.S., stolen lands will be returned to their rightful owners. Family, this is rich. So you must visit where, I'm going to type this and put it in the chat. Whereismyland.org. Okay, that's where you need to go to find out and keep up with all the other projects they're working on. Now, it says since 2020 here, they've been working on that. And look, Where's My Land represents the continuation of the movement started at Bruce's Beach in 2020. I can't believe they got this done that fast. This started before that, though. This started with Miss Hahn. So it didn't take them that short of a period of time. They've been working on this for some time. Now, maybe they just picked it up, but no, it's been going for some time. So I'm going to come back over here. And I'm going to post this comment. Paste. Okay. Tanya Princess says, right, sis, marriage is also a legacy and wealth-building vehicle. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, family. Yes, it is. You are absolutely correct. So let me go back. All right. I kind of want to read this article to y'all. It's kind of short here. Redondo Beach, June 24th. Now, this article is dated, the one that you see adjacent to the picture there. This is June 27, 1912, part 1. Now, it's not the full thing, but Lord, I may have to pull that article up and read the whole thing for myself. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you here, but I'd love to hear how they were reporting on it then. It says, Colored People's Resort meets with opposition. Redondo Beach, June 24. The establishment of a small summer resort for Negroes at North Manhattan it's cut off in that spot, has created great agitation among the white property owners of adjoining lands. The new summer resort, which at present consists of a small portable cottage with a stand in front where soda pop and lunches are sold, and 2 dressing tents with shower baths and a supply of 50 bathing suits, was opened last Monday by the dusky proprietor and patronized by many colored people from LA. Now, we know today colored is not how we want to be referred to, right? Because this is what I mean by how you have to disaggregate these groups, because they love to lump everybody in as people of color and minority in order to drown out the voices of the descendants of U.S. chattel slavery. If they lump us all together, then that gives them a way to ignore us. So we no longer identify as colored. The only other distinction, and nobody identifies as Negro. We can't even identify as Black anymore, because that also is an albatross. Black immigration. is an albatross. More of our reparations are going to be used. I think they're bringing 60,000 Haitians over, since all the kerfuffle and the huff puff over how differently the groups are being treated. While I get it, I also don't agree with all this immigration like the albatross around our necks, because money has to go to these groups to set them up lovely in our communities while we're being starved out of our communities. Can't get work because we have no social capital at the hiring tables. And when we do get work, we're overworked and underpaid. We're the lowest paid, no matter how much education we have. So yeah, we no longer refer to ourselves as colored. We've got freedmen, we've got Black First, we've got FBA, Foundational Black Americans, that's Tyreek. Black First is Jason Black, the Black Authority. Freedman is Be the Power. CJAC and NASD refer to it as Black American Descendants of U.S. Chattel Slavery, which we were, NASD and CJAC actually were a part of the founding members of the ADOS movement, American Descendants of Slavery. I refer to us as ADOX. I coined that. Actually, I think I didn't coin it, but I started using it and found out that Ted Hayes, who's was in the civil rights movement and fights for the homeless down here in LA, he was using ADOX. Now I see Solidarity using ADOX. That's Darity's. That's born out of Dr. William Sandy Darity, who's in the fight as well for our reparations. But I like the C in there for that distinction of chattel. And that's because, family, I've learned that white folks, although we're given indentured servitude, some of them suffered slavery. So I want to make the distinction, because their slavery was more like indentured servitude. It doesn't mean that they didn't suffer some of the atrocities, some of the harshness, but we bore the brunt of the chattel. That was us. And so throwing chattel in there puts a gate around what I'm fighting for specifically. If you say American Descendants of Slavery, a lot of those who were here, like the Irish for indentured servitude, believe that they were too enslaved and therefore are entitled to reparations. For me, the C for chattel puts up a more secure gate, because they can never claim that. They were never chattel slaves, okay? And were able to ultimately buy their freedom, and then they didn't suffer the vestiges like we do today, okay? Joe Biden is a byproduct of that. His family owned slaves, but he referred to himself as Irish. So the Jews owned us, the Irish owned us. All the white folks and the white immigrants that came here owned us as chattel. We were able, well, in some instances, but very few, we weren't really able to buy our freedom. And then we suffered Reconstruction, Jim Crow, the Black Codes, on and on and on, all the way through into today, where our affirmative action is being used to make other groups the not so new ADOX, right? That was specifically for us so that we could come up. Back to the text, okay? Yesterday, when a good-sized Sunday crowd of pleasure seekers had gathered and donned their bathing suits to disport in the ocean, they were confronted by two deputy constables. We couldn't even get in the ocean without being bothered. They were confronted by two deputy constables who warned them. It's small, family, forgive me for reading like this. I'm trying to see it. Who warned them against crossing the strip of land in front of Mrs. Bruce's property to reach the ocean. For a distance of over half a mile from Peck's Pier to 24th Street, a strip of ocean frontage is owned by George H. Peck, who also owns several hundred acres of land in the Manhattan addition where Mrs. Bruce's property is situated. This strip has been staked off and no trespassing signs put up, And consequently, the bathers yesterday could not get to the beach without walking beyond Peck's strip of ocean frontage. So they were making it difficult for them to, I guess, cut through Peck's strip of the ocean frontage to get to Bruce's beach. Just all kind of, oh, child, the ghetto. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go to the next story. Okay. So the bill was SB 796 is what was created to transfer that beach back to the family. Let me see if there's other tidbits. It says here they slash people's tires. As Han explained, the land seizure was the final shove after years of harassment by the KKK failed to push the Black community out of the area. They slashed their tires. They even attempted to set the Bruce Lodge on fire and succeeding in burning down a local Black family's home near the property. Listen to this. Back in the 1920s, Manhattan Beach agreed to pay Willa and Charles Bruce about $14,000 for their property, a fraction of its worth by today's standards. To make matters worse, the family's lawyer says the city took years to make that payment, forcing them to leave without any income. And then they had to become cooks and washing dishes for other people's businesses. The disgrace of it all. They were then barred, family, from purchasing new land. The excuse Manhattan Beach gave for removing the Bruce family's business in the surrounding Black community was a need for a public park, but the land sat empty for decades before a park was built. Today, in addition to that small park, the LA County Fire Department has its lifeguard training headquarters on the land. Chief Dwayne Yellowfeather Shepherd is a descendant and representative of the Bruce family. He says when the land and business were taken away, the family was robbed of the chance to build generational wealth all over the country, family. Okay, let's move on to the next. I'm just jumping around to try to give you some insight. Okay, so the land that the Bruce family bought, they bought it for less than $2,000. The land alone is worth $75 million today. Okay, let's see if I can give you some more tidbits of, so you guys can get something different than what you got from the other reporters. Hey, I'm slow to report some of the things, so I try to give you some tidbits and educate you at the same time because the advocacy is really starting to encroach. So when you see my times change, family, bear with me. I'm going live no matter if I got one person or 0 people in the queue because I've got to get the content out. And so my stories lag, but I try to bring a little twist and bring you some nuggets that you may not have heard of. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to scroll this one before I get into the news story, and then I'll check us out. I'll sign us off in love. And I'll let you see my new outro. Okay, so they need to pay for the stripping of generational wealth, says Kayvon Ward. This family could have been wealthy. They could have passed on wealth to other family members. Manhattan Beach could have been more culturally diverse. There would have been more Black people here. Then there's the matter of the beach itself. A Manhattan Beach task force is sending the full city council new recommendations, including a resolution of apology. Wow, they're finally going to apologize. Creating a new commemorative plaque with wording that would prominently acknowledge the pioneering, the Bruce family, instead of the original white landowner. That would, okay, let me back that up. I botched it. Including a resolution of apology and creating a new commemorative plaque with wording that would prominently acknowledge the pioneering Bruce family instead of the original white landowner. Ain't that something? Ward says the issue is far deeper than a plaque. This task force and members of Manhattan Beach are living in this sort of bubble of white supremacy and white fragility. And I feel like it's time to penetrate that bubble, says Ward. It's time for this bubble to be popped. It's rich. Han says the time may be right for the county to take action to correct the history. Now, this happened before the signing, okay? But I need to give you some of this rich fire. We are now in this country finally meeting this moment, says Supervisor Han. And there are a lot of talks about reparations, financial restitutions being made to African Americans in this country. Family, lead in. Lead in, okay? Get excited, family. Get excited. Okay. They were building community and spreading the wealth within the community and enhancing other Black people, and it was all stripped away, says Kayvon Ward. Okay, so I want to show you some pictures. I'm going to stop sharing that one and show you Bruce's Beach, an aerial view of Bruce's Beach at sunset. Let me stop the share. Welcome to the live. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you for joining the live. Okay, I'm going to stop that share. I'm going to share another picture, okay, while I read some more. Okay, so I'm going to just bring this up to see, to scroll it some more. But that's Bruce's Beach. Now, that's Bruce's Beach today. Yeah. This is how we do it, fam. You got to fight till they do right. That's it and that's all. I don't want that. Okay, so let me see if there's anything else I want to read to you. This country always likes to say you can make it, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, said Kayvon Ward, who founded an advocacy organization called Justice for Bruce's Beach last year. These people were doing that. And they were building community and spreading the wealth within the community and enhancing other Black people, and it was all stripped away. It was through her work with Bruce's Beach that Ward founded a new organization. We did that part. I'm jumping through different articles and jumping down. So for me, Kayvon says, it was more than just land being taken from Black people, Ward said. It was land taken away from Black entrepreneurs. It was business. It was community. Where's My Land is working with the family of Winston Willis, a Black real estate developer who lost his property in Cleveland in a fight that went all the way to the Supreme Court. These are not people looking for reparations for being enslaved, Ward said. These are people that, despite their ancestors being enslaved, picked themselves up, me speaking, by their bootless straps, created and built their own wealth, and their opportunity to pass on that wealth was taken away from them. Willis, 81, who lives in a nursing home, built a thriving entertainment and real estate empire near the intersection of 105th Street and Euclid Avenue. Now, this is the Cleveland story, okay? Willis, 81, who lives in a nursing home, built a thriving entertainment and real estate empire near the intersection of 105th Street and Euclid Avenue in the shadow of the Cleveland Clinic, a world-renowned medical center that perfected heart bypass surgery in 1968. Okay, let me stop sharing Manhattan Beach because I'm on to this next story, and then I'm going to pray us out. Welcome to the live. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and feel free to comment amongst yourself. I'll be right over after this one section on what happened to Mr. Willis. Let me stop sharing and go back. Okay, so Willis, 81, who lives in a nursing home. Let me pause. Okay, so like I said, when they steal this wealth, we become destitute. We become the anchor of this country's capitalism. Us specifically, no other group. Okay? No other group. So as we're about to go into the task force meetings on reparations, that's something I'm going to stress as they sit up and ponder who should be a party to our repair down here in California. And as California goes, so goes the nation. So I'm pushing back on Black immigrants being recipients of our repair. I can't get repaired by their colonizers, nor can I get repaired by CARICOM. To me, we are their repair. What our ancestors endured, they fled from their countries. What our ancestors did with their lives, all these other groups fled their countries to come here and climb right over top of us. And this government was complicit in allowing them and continues to allow them to do so to this day. So my issue is not them. My issue is the government. That's my fight on every level. We've been legislated out, family. Lean in. Lean in. I know you're weary. I know the movement takes cat naps, but we need all hands on deck to make this point come the 12th and 13th when we go back into those committee meetings. Like I said, if you want to weigh in and share how you see things, please email me at thereperspect@gmail.com. Now let's get back to Willis so I can get over this thing. I'm already over an hour. Good Lord. I always try to get y'all out early, but y'all, because I got to prep the other shows for tomorrow. Anyway, so he lives in a nursing home. He's now 81. He built a thriving entertainment and real estate empire near the intersection of 105th Street and Euclid Avenue in the shadow of the Cleveland Clinic, a world-renowned medical center that perfected heart bypass surgery in 1968. Now, the same year, Willis won $500,000 gambling, said his sister, Andra Willis Carrasco. He used the money to expand his growing empire, which included the Jazz Temple, a legendary music venue that hosted titans like Miles Davis, Dizzy Gillespie, and John Coltrane. Described by a local newspaper in 1978 as a fiery talker, sounds like I'm cut from his cloth, Willis went on to open more than 24 businesses along Euclid Avenue when much of the country was still reeling from segregation. He operated movie theaters, restaurants, bookstores, and several X-rated businesses, earning him the dubious reputation as Cleveland's pornography king. Well, I'm not into that part, but make your shmoney, baby, do you. Pornography brings whites and blacks together, he told the Cleveland newspaper, The Plain Dealer, in 1971. What other reason would bring whites here? The area surrounding Willis's former kingdom is now home to two very disparate realities. The Cleveland Clinic and University Circle, recently voted by USA Today as the top arts district in the country, both attract big money from philanthropic institutions and top donors. Yet even though it houses elite institutions, Cleveland became the poorest big city in America in 2019, according to the census data. The median household income is about $31,000, and nearly 33% of residents experience poverty. NBC News has reached out to the Cleveland Clinic for comment. At the height of Willis's success, Cleveland had already started to splinter into two cities, said Mark Souther, a professor of history at Cleveland State University, following an uprising in the predominantly black neighborhood of H-O-U-G-H, Howe, I don't know. Willis moved in on property that had been abandoned by its previous owners. He soon became one of the wealthiest black entrepreneurs and one of the largest black employers in the region, posing a threat to the established order. Quote, although whites moved to the suburbs, they still continue to want to have their cake and eat it too, Souther said. He was provocative, to say the least. As Willis's fortunes increased, so did the harassment his sister said. He received death threats and kidnapping threats against his children, and there were several attempts on his life, according to Carrasco. Menacing phone calls and racial slurs were just the beginning. 2 years after the Jazz Temple opened, it was destroyed in a bombing. His later businesses were plagued by unscheduled inspections, raids, and accusations of fraud and housing violations, Carrasco said. Despite the harassment, Willis persisted in expanding his empire. Me speaking. And this is why I want reparations in cash in the trillions over multi-generations. If you're just going to destroy everything we build by our bootless straps, just let us live in a lap of luxury, run us those trillions of dollars in reparations monthly, directly deposited to our bank accounts. Because what's going to stop them from doing this again? Run us our dough and let us do with it what we will. We may want to leave the country and build these type of empires in, say, Jamaica, Africa, where we can be in peace, live in peace as Black people without having to endure this type of white, racist, supremacist, diabolical, glacier donkey kind of experiences that we all have to grow through in this country. Like Baldwin said, and I'm paraphrasing, waking up Black in this country is waking up every day in a constant state of rage. Give us that money that you're giving away right now to the immigrants, that you're giving and lining your pockets with, that you're giving to the top 10%, that you're giving away in pandemic money. Give that to us, its rightful heirs. And let us go, be, do, and have in peace. If we want to leave here, we can buy our own islands with the money that's owed, or a piece of it, or sharing it. Give us our sovereignty, right? Let us become sovereign like the Indians and get the up out of here. Back to the checks. His later businesses were plagued. Okay, I did that part. He was eventually reduced to abject poverty. Oh, breathe, woosah. Family, it does something to me. I'm an empath, so I feel all of this when I read, okay? He was eventually reduced to abject poverty after his 24 businesses were seized amid allegations of tax violations and debts of thousands of dollars on utility bills. This government owes us on every level. He repeatedly fought the claims, waging court battle after court battle, and ultimately losing. Of course, you spend all your money fighting a lost cause, a losing battle. He was arrested in 1982 for writing a bad check. This is what they reduced him to. And spent 10 days in solitary confinement, Carrasco said. While he was in jail, Willis's empire crumbled. He lost control of his final Cleveland property in 2000. Quote, fearless is the main word I use in describing him, Carrasco said. He was not the first Black person to have his property stolen. He was the first Black person to fight back. Carrasco has been writing the story of her brother for more than 30 years. She has spent much of that time closely monitoring Willis's legal battles and poring over news clippings, court documents, and other family records to tell the bigger picture of what happened to his once booming empire. It wasn't until George Floyd's death in May 2020 and the subsequent racial reckoning that swept the country, including a movement to return Bruce's Beach, that Carrasco found an ally in Ward. Together, they hope to honor Willis's legacy and raise awareness about land they say was unfairly taken. I really don't care about the financial aspect, Carrasco said. I do. We do. In the reparationist movement. It's all about the financials. Not all, but it's mostly about financial aspect. I want to expose what these people have done. Well, we can do both. How about that? Okay, family, that's my show for tonight. Let me see what y'all got to say about it, my illustrious audience. Cosetta says she's not voting blue in 2022. Well, family, I need you to keep a blue Congress. We cannot afford a trifecta of either party, my love. I know it hurts. It sucks. But until this is what I'm prescribing, and I hope you agree, that we vote anyone but the Democrats at the top of the ticket and a blue Congress to protect the over 50% of ADOCs who rely on government assistance by design of institutional systemic racism. Okay, so I need you to vote blue in the Congress, anyone you want but the Democrats at the top. I've been pushing to vote Trump or whoever the red is on the ticket, but we need to send a strong message that we are very displeased with the Biden administration. He's like at about 38%, according to the Quinnipiac polls. That's a whole nother show I'm going to do. It's coming this week. But yeah, we're not pleased. We're not pleased at all. And we're going to show it. Yeah, you need to vote blue in 2022, my love. Cosetta, you need to. We cannot have a red Congress. We can have a red top, but we cannot afford a red Congress. It's going to kill us. The top of the ticket don't matter. That Congress is everything. So we got to keep it red. Vote as progressive or blue as you can find come 2022. Now, 2024, red or whoever you want, red, green, or libertarian at the top of the ticket. Don't play with the ticket. They'll throw your ballot out if you put Mickey Mouse and Minnie. Don't do that. Put one of those three. Nobody, the Democrats don't get the top. And I'm pushing that every show until the elections in 2024. Okay, baby, BB, baby, Miss Rodriguez. Descendants, Bruce's words resonates with my spirit. That's truth. Facts. Blessings on their overdue windflower. Thank you, my love. Windfall. Oh, thank you, my sweet. I appreciate your kind words. Okay. Y'all giving love. I love that. So back to Tanya's point. Marriage is a legacy and wealth building vehicle. Remember that as you're looking for your soulmates. In the words of Tina Turner, what's love got to do with it? You have to understand that marriage is a business, and we need business-minded people making love and making babies and restoring us until we can get those checks cut. Okay? Let me see here. Tanya says, I'm exhausted today in every way possible from this symptom of mass incarceration. We're single households attempting to fight collective fights. Oh, honey, this is why I stay sleepy. Because we are being assaulted and attacked on every affront. So take care of you, my love. Make sure you decompress. Like when I get off of here, I'm going to set up the show for tomorrow and just decompress and relax from this. It's a lot. But that just shows you how much work there is to be done. And not only is the building on fire, ADOCs is seriously on fire with a lame Congress and a lame president. Okay? Cosetta says the new Black media agenda is take a stand. Absolutely. I like that slogan. We absolutely must take a stand or our people will perish. Tanya says it's called racial stratification economics. Angela, you seem so much more relaxed. Oh, I'm glad you noticed, my love. I'm mostly too tired to get animated. And I had a dreadful bout of severe acute bronchitis, borderline walking pneumonia. And I just decided after luxuriating in Kona, Hawaii with my daughter for her 17th birthday, that I am not going to allow it to disrupt the calm peace of my soul. So I'm finding ways to tell it and keep my spiritual disposition going at the same time. So I'll power walk and do different things like that and really connect in the spirit. So it soothes me. And also the victory of Bruce's Beach. It's these little victories. It's when I get to speak with people on the task force here for the reparations, and I get to be with you guys as my tribe in Nasty, C-Jack. Like doing that with people who care as much as me, it lifts me up. And it's just rich to be able to get into places that I never could have gotten into but for the tribe, but for my coalitions and the people I work with in this movement. So thank you for noticing. It's very important. And what I also do, Tanya, is when I've had enough, I just come off of here until I can get re-energized, because it's a lot, as you already know. Tanya says, sustained government underwritten white supremacy. You better know it, my love. You said a word there. BB says, licking spoons and pots, cooking for these, she got an angry man, and suckling their babies. Oh, and being sexually assaulted by their men, can't go into ocean. Make it make sense. BB, you hit it on the head, my love. I'm sure they were widely overcharged, she says. Honey. Chanya says, there isn't even anyone advocating for a special consumer agency that should exist to protect our measly less than 2% wealth. Chanya says, we're suffering real estate vultures as part of the aftermath of COVID-19 wealth transfers. There's a thievery during every crisis of capitalism. Well, that's why they're created, my love. I've shared with you that this is a pandemic, that this government was complicit in spending $50 million on this virus in the Wuhan, China labs as a part of gain of function research that, these hearings are now exposing. They create the virus, and what they want to do now is use the people as a return on their investment. They're not going to stop this nonsense until they receive 1,000,000% return. And we, the people, are the sacrifice. They don't give a damn if you don't want to take it. And another way they're wiping us completely off the monopoly board is to make that a mandate in these companies who, you have to quit. You either get the jab or you now have to quit. So it's making us even more and more destitute. They're weaponizing us with more immigration by bringing that over under the auspice that we don't want to go back to work, and they know full well that institutional systemic racism oppresses us in corporates where we're not being hired. And when we are, we're the first to be fired. If we don't jab, they'll fire us. Like, it's a lot going on. And the Democrats are in charge yet again. This happened under Obama. Now Obama and Kagame are doing the same. So yeah, sis, the real estate vultures are out here. The corporations are buying them up. You won't even be able to afford to buy a home. We can't afford it now with a median national income of $30,000 and the median national home price of 380. What is it? 380, close to 400,000. Okay, this is their attempt to wipe us completely out of the equation and not pay us these reparations. But thank God, the God in each of us is bigger than their plans. It's bigger than their 100-year plans. And Bruce's Beach is a byproduct of how big our God is. So lean in, family. Don't be weary in well-doing. Terry says, capitalism is the magic word, Tanya. Tanya says, Terry, it's the underpinning of racism. We're still approaching racism. And there's been a hashtag socialism for super capitalism. Oh, yes. I always like to say they like to capitalize their profits and socialize their losses. That's my favorite mantra. How this government works. Capitalize the profits and socialize their losses. That's what they do. They're the biggest corporate welfare kings and queens, not ADOCs, contrary to what they like to purport. Approaching racism, Tanya says, approaching racism with social issues, civil rights, and emotionalism instead of addressing the economics. All distractions are equal. They love distractions. That's why I don't participate in a lot of it anymore. I won't even read about our people being murdered and gunned down. I don't want to see it on YouTube. I don't engage. That was a lot of what was making me angry too, Tanya. It's horrific. It's traumatizing. Tanya says, I'm not voting blue, period. Oh, love, we need you to vote blue Congress. F the Democratic Party. I understand. We have social justice entrepreneurs as Cori Bush. That's useless. All of them are, sis. I feel you. But listen, I don't want red in that Congress. It's going to get worse for us. And we have to understand that we live in a two-party system, family. It is what it is. These people have shown you that they can co-opt whole primaries and steal whole elections. Okay? So what I'm saying to say, the Green Party and the Libertarians will never get a chance. They will never make 5%, and even if they do, we'll never know about it because we have a two-party system and they are two wings of the same bird, right? And so we have to work within this system to play chess, not checkers. We have to work to play chess by weaponizing our vote. Instead of, what do I call it? Vote blue no matter who, trifecta checkers, something of that nature. I coined it. It's coming up. So we've got to play chess with the vote. So when we don't vote blue Congress, the most progressive we can find, it's to our own peril. It's to our own peril to have a trifecta of either party. That's why I'm asking you to let's help create the climate without even voting red top if you refuse to vote a red top. I'm voting red top. You can vote green or you can vote libertarian at the top of the ticket. It would still make way for red to take the top and a blue Congress. I know it sucks, but we've got people like I had Reverend William Somerville on my show Monday. I had him on the show, and he is a full-chested cash reparationist. He's running it on his platform. He's running for Congress in District 47, of which I'm a part of. So, I had him on the show Monday. We need more like him, more like Tamara Johnson-Shealy. So I just want you to understand that we need you to vote Democratic down ballot, anybody you want at the top of the ticket, until we can replace them one by one with full-chested cash reparationists. That takes some time, family. It takes time because we've been neutralized economically. Let's see here. Let's go back. Okay. Yes, sis, Tanya says, I'm so grateful for my fam in the revolution. Sis, you know it. Girl, where would we be without each other, right? Oh, Lord, I lean on y'all so much, and I thank you for your love and your support. Satra Delry 360, greetings, my love. Red, Tanya says, red makes it worse for everybody. Yes, but a red top and a blue Congress, we can at least slow the guillotine down, right? We can slow the gas chamber down on ADOX because that's what they've got in mind. They are really working to genocide us as a people. They are working to make us permanent. They're making us permanent undercast. They're making us permanent bottom cast in the country our ancestors built with their lives. We can't continue to deliver these trifectas. We don't stand a chance for the Red Congress. We don't. The open season on our people will be worse. They will really literally be legalizing the deputization of the KKK to just shoot us on demand. So we need to work feverishly to get candidates like Tamara Johnson-Shealy, like Reverend William Somerville. We need to continue to work feverishly to get those people into Congress with our vote, which is why we have to be politically engaged, which is why I continue with the show. and why I push on you guys to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. We got to move as a block. Okay, Tanya says, no, madam, we're all not in California. You're in California. You're in a solidly blue California. Well, that matters not. I get what you're saying, my love, but we got to do our best wherever we're blue. We've got to push and to maintain the Congress, both sides. We're doomed without it. We'll never get reparations if the red is in the Congress. If they're in Congress and the top of the ticket, you're never seeing reparations. The only chance we have in having that is to put pressure on the blue. It's not happening via red, ever. Tanya says, midterms always embolden the out party. Well, I believe that the red will take it over during the midterms, but that doesn't help us. The only way we get help is to have a blue Congress and to work feverishly at replacing the lames that aren't doing anything for us, but paying lip service to doing things for us. So with that being said, family, let me pray us out. It's been lovely chatting with you and seeing some of my old favorites in the chat. I'm just so grateful for your presence. I'm going to pray us out, and then I'm going to play that fire outro to really take us all the way out. It's still being tweaked, but I'm too excited because it's so rich that I want to share it with you. So with that being said, family, I want you, let me pray my prayer protection, that the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever ADOX and its allies are, God truly is, because family, you are the face of God. Yes, you are. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. So until tomorrow, family, you make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your evening. Know that I love you black. I love you strong. Peace. Stay tuned for the outro. It's rich, rich, and more rich. Stand by, family. Okay.